It's Drake Day at Invictus Fleet Week, and like many of you, I was waiting for something way bigger on Drake Day because they only get one day and they're not getting their own convention this year. But I was left with this hollow feeling and a hole in my pocketbook because I got an ironclad. But something unexpected happened during Fleet Week. I'm Sacksofwine, this is SC Haulers, and let's talk about the Starlancer TAC. Right out of the gate, this ship flies like an old vending machine. It's slow in atmosphere, it's slow in space, and on high gravity planets, I swear the Idris climbs faster. The TAC is obviously based on the Max, the Starlancer Max, and you can tell by every movement that you make, it is super slow, it is super sluggish, and I will say the only benefit the TAC has over the Max is it has size 3 components besides the quantum drive. So the TAC isn't just a dropship. It's not your regular dropship like the Cutlass Steel or the Anvil Valkyrie, where it just has a bunch of drop seats and doors on the sides and the back where you can drop troops out of. It's also it is a cargo hauler. And whether your cargo is personnel, supplies, vehicles, whatever the case may be, that is what the TAC is designed for. It really allows you to have a beating while you're flying into a hot zone and then drop all these supplies off while at the same time providing enough power via the downward facing turrets that you can actually destroy some stuff and provide supporting fire to any troops that may be on the ground. But let's get into the capabilities of the TAC, which is cargo. This is going to be important for us because, you know, we're a industry-based channel. But cargo grid, you have 96 SCU cargo grid. Like, you can obviously put cargo elsewhere, but just the cargo grid itself is 96 SCU. If you only put cargo on that 96 SCU cargo grid, then you can also fit a vehicle in between all that cargo, and that's going to be like a Ursa, a Rock, a Nursa, a RSI Lynx, like a Tumbril Cyclone, I think. Yeah, the little 4-wheel vehicle. Yeah. You have medbeds in the middle of the ship, which means if you drop off troops for reinforcement purposes and they die, guess what? They get a second chance. You have the hangar that's on top of the ship, and that's going to fit a Mirai Fury at max, but I mean, you could also put a couple of snub fighters in there, maybe. I haven't personally tried, I don't know, but I would imagine some smaller snub fighters like the Kruger, P-52, I think? Yeah, that small boy from Kruger. You might be able to fit 2 or 3 in there. Then you have downward facing turrets, which is specifically designed to destroy ground troops and vehicles, right? It's like a low flying AC-130. The ship is a multi-role freight assault vehicle. It's not just about how much you can carry, it's how much you can bring to the fight and survive with. So first let's talk about the top hangar. And this is your Fury hangar, your Mirai Fury hangar. It is one of the smallest ships in the game, and like I said, you can probably fit like 3 Kruger Ps in here, or just 1 Fury. It's not designed to be very big, you're not going to get anything much bigger in there, but that being said, if you're not using a Fury, you know what you can use it for? Cargo. And so I did a little test run on this, and I could fit roughly about 3 24 SCU containers. So it can act as an auxiliary cargo or even snub deployment, depending on your playstyle. Now looking at the back cargo area, this, like I said, officially gives you 96 SCU of cargo space, and that is on the sides of the cargo bay. But we know how Star Citizen works. If you're willing to skip the vehicle and go off grid, you can manually stack up to around 152 SCU of cargo back there. So in total, if you take the top and the bottom, if you take the top hangar and the cargo in the back, you can get roughly like near 175 to 200 SCU of cargo in the ship. Maybe a little bit more depending on what size containers you're using, It's a bit of a puzzle. You gotta play some Tetris, but the fact that the ship gives you this kind of flexibility without breaking like too much stuff makes it a very practical hauler, especially for early hauling when you have to hand load a lot of stuff. So let's not sugarcoat this section. The TAC is not a fighter. Turret placement is the biggest issue. Like, the pilot has some weapons, but they are so slow. They are so slow at firing. Like, if you hit your target, I'd be surprised.
I would really like it if they raised the top turrets, like, just a little bit. Like, maybe even restrict it to, like, how far left and right that the top turrets can move. Because currently it's a 360, but if you look to the rear of the ship from the front turret, you won't be able to see the back turret, which is fine because you have a back turret back there for a reason. So the front turret should be covering the front angles of the ship, and the back turret should be covering the back angles of the ship, and that's perfectly fine. You don't need these dropship turrets to go 360s. So if you gave us the option, like raised up the turret a little bit, so that way we could see over different things like this ship engine right here, that would be fantastic. But that's just not the way it works. And even if they did make that change where the turret sat a little bit higher and they made the sectors of fire for each turret not overlap with each other, that still wouldn't make this ship capable for space combat. And that's fine because it's a dropship. That's what it's supposed to be. But it being a dropship, that downward fire support is no joke. And it is limited. The angles of fire from left to right are kind of limited, and I believe those angles got a nerf as well. Like in 4.2, I think those angles of fire are worse. But for what it is, you can smack down some freaking ground troops very, very quickly with these guns. And I don't know if they just did an overall change to laser repeaters where you can just instant kill these NPCs, but I am able to lay down some fire and clear an area very quickly with the TAC. In a PvE environment or as an org support ship, this thing slaps. So who is the TAC really for? In my opinion, and this is what I'm showing in the footage that I have here, solo haulers who want flexibility and respawn. Because maybe you want to go to an OLP, and in this example, what I'm doing is there are unverified hauling missions for headhunters. And you need to go to the OLPs and the PAFs, and you need to use the freight elevators to get your cargo. And so these side turrets are just annihilating these freaking mobs. And like I said, I don't know if they changed these or not, but these lasers are just killing these NPCs almost instantly. And I know it's super easy. Like, it's not hard to sit in a side turret with nobody contesting you and you just take out NPCs. But I bring up this point because every other time I've ever shot somebody with a laser from a ship, those NPCs always get up and run away. You always have to empty your clip or your charge or your magazine or whatever the case is, and you always have to empty it in order to kill the NPCs. And with these side guns, that's just not the case. Like, they're going down almost immediately, and so it feels really powerful. It feels really nice. And maybe CIG changed this with the size 3, size 4 guns just in general. I don't know. I haven't looked in that data, but it feels really good to fire these on ground troops and take them out the way it's supposed to be. It is a drop ship. That is what it is supposed to do. Another case use for the TAC would be org players running joint operation, ground drops, or Overwatch. Miners who want to haul ore and have you have a med bed just in case you freaking explode your prospector, which that is a thing now. If you overcharge a rock, you can die. That that reminds me of my buddy who was mining. I was in the mole, he was in a prospector. We broke this really big Quantanium rock, and just, it wasn't overcharged, but the explosion was still powerful enough that it incapacitated him in his prospector. So if you want a medbed while you're out mining, the Starlancer TAC is great. You can also put extra ore pods on there, which is fantastic for quick reloads. You can just keep mining and then send your Starlancer TAC back to the refinery for larger orders. And the last group I think would really benefit from having a TAC is players who want a cargo platform that can adapt to multiple mission types. And this is like the exact scenario that I'm talking about, where maybe you're at an OLP and you're just doing a headhunter cargo hauling mission, and then your homies call you up and they're like, hey, let's do a line of mine, and all of a sudden you got to load up 3 geos into the back of your TAC and send them over to the hull on Aberdeen. And then all your buddies log off for the night, but you still got a couple hours that you want to do something, but you want to level up your Kovalex hauling in Stanton, and you haven't done anything yet. And this is the perfect ship to have that space in there. It's not fast, but it's tough, modular, and honestly, kind of beautiful in a brutalist sort of way. Like if I was Conan the Barbarian, like this would be the ideal ship, you know? Anyways, over Invictus, I was expecting to fall in love with the Asgard, but I ended up flying, testing, and learning to rely on something I hadn't even planned to look at. The Starlancer TAC won me over because it doesn't try to be everything, it just tries to be ready for anything. And if you want a medium hauler that can deploy, recover, and keep your team alive, I think the TAC's got your back. I'm Sacksofwine, this is SC Haulers, and we'll see you at the next haul.